Today we're going to reveal everything you need to know about hypercharges. We'll also talk about the new gadget gear. You heard me right, gadget gear. Then we'll cover balance changes as well as reveal all of the animations and costs for this season's skins. Hypercharge is a new ability that you will unlock at power 11. You charge it any way you would normally charge your super, but it takes 2.5 times more to charge your hypercharge. At least for the current hypercharges being added into the game right now, which there are only 6. The rest of the brawlers will get them sometime in the future. You can tell if a brawler has their hypercharge charged because they'll have these cool little symbols around them. They'll circle around just like the super. And if you have both their hypercharge and their super charged up, then it will look like this. Now to activate your hypercharge, simply tap on the hypercharge button. When a hypercharge is active on a brawler, a purple flame will engulf them that everybody will be able to see, and they will become much stronger versions of themselves. They'll get a huge speed buff. They'll get a huge damage buff, all on top of getting reduced damage while their hypercharge is active. Now the exact buff actually depends on the brawler. For example, Colt gets a 30% damage buff but only a 10% shield buff, whereas Bull gets a 30% shield buff and only a 10% damage buff. So when you're in battle and you have your hypercharge, you're going to be a lot stronger than everybody else. But that's not all that gets buffed. In addition to these massive stat buffs, your super will get an added effect as well. Shelly's super becomes 33% wider, making it easier for her to hit multiple targets, but it also actually increases the number of projectiles she fires by 33%. So on top of getting a 25% damage buff, her super gets an additional 33% damage buff if you end up hitting somebody point blank. And that ends up being 66% more damage from her super, which is insane. For Colt's hypercharge, his super will become 120% wider, which makes it significantly easier to hit opponents with and much harder to dodge. Jackie's hypercharge makes it so that anyone who gets pulled by her super will be slowed by 1.5 seconds. This is going to make it pretty much impossible to escape Jackie if you get caught by it. That's pretty much going to be GG for you. But Bull's hypercharge is going to make him pretty much impossible to kill, at least while he's using his super, because if he's using his super during his hypercharge, he will take 80% less damage. 80% shield reduction, that is insane. For reference, you would have to deal 50,000 total damage to him if you want to kill him while he's using his super. Of course, you could just wait to attack him until after he's done using his super, but still, that's crazy. Spike's hypercharge increases the radius of his super by 20%, which is also crazy. Spike's super already controls a huge area, but this will give him way more map control. Now keep in mind that the super that is activated during a hypercharge will remain hypercharged even if the brawler loses their hypercharge. Spike's a great example because he can just throw his super right before the hypercharge runs out, and his super will remain just as big and do just as much damage as if he was hypercharged. So I can only imagine what Lou's or Sandy's hypercharges are going to be like. Now typically, hypercharges only last for 5 seconds before they run out, which is pretty short, but you can increase that duration by doing anything that would charge your super. So dealing damage with your attack or super will keep you hypercharged longer. And some brawlers like Shelly can stay infinitely hypercharged as long as she has enemies with enough health to close to her. And that right there is very satisfying. Pearl's also getting a hypercharge, but I won't be able to reveal it until a future sneak peek, so make sure you subscribe for that and turn on the notification bell. Hypercharges are very strong, but they're gonna cost you. They will cost 5,000 coins to purchase, and that is a lot of coins, and I'm still formulating my opinion on whether or not that's too much, but my initial impression is that it's actually about right. I'll share more of my thoughts in a future video though. One thing to keep in mind though is that hypercharges will not all be released at once. They will be released throughout the weeks after the update, but you'll have an opportunity to get them 2 weeks early if you purchase the collector's pack. It will cost either 299 gems or you can buy it for 9,600 coins, which honestly, I'm so happy that Supercell's allowing us to actually purchase them with coins. Even if that's a lot of coins, there's no paywall here. Like, even free-to-play players could save up enough coins to buy at least some of these packs. Plus, this is the first time ever, if I'm remembering correctly, that you'll be able to purchase some really cool cosmetics with coins. The collector's pack comes with a pin, a spray, and for the first time ever, animated profile icons. These profile icons are animated anywhere that you see profile icons, including the start of the match, and they look really cool. Now, sometime in October, they're going to enable hypercharges to drop from star drops, and you don't even have to upgrade your brawler to power 11 to make that a possibility. So like, if you don't want to upgrade Bull because he sucks without his hypercharge, don't do it. You could still get Bull's hypercharge from a star drop and then upgrade him after. Another nice change to star drops is that they are decreasing the chance of receiving token doublers from them, so you'll get a lot more other resources resources in the game. Let's talk about the gadget gear. The gadget charge gear is a super rare gear that increases the number of gadgets that you get to use during the match by 1. So since every brawler has 3 uses, this increases it from 3 to 4 uses during the match. And as a super rare gear, this is available for purchase on every single brawler in the game, which actually is pretty hype. This is a good gear in my opinion. Maybe not the best for every single brawler, but some brawlers have really good gadgets, and this will get a lot of use in my opinion. Now let's talk about balance changes, and then we'll talk about skins. And the biggest balance change happening in this update is actually a balance change for every single brawler in the game. The stat buffs that you are getting from leveling up your brawlers is increasing from 5% to 10% for every level. The way that the math works out, this actually means that a max out brawler after the update will deal 33% more damage with their attack and their super compared to before the update, and they'll also have 33% more health than a maxed out brawler before the update. Now, all brawler interactions will be the same as far as their attacks and supers are concerned. The damage from star powers and gadgets won't be affected until they actually update that in a future update, but this change isn't really going to have much of an impact on balance changes. The goal here is to make upgrading your brawlers more meaningful, which whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is still, it's the truth. Hank is getting a 17% buff to his attack damage. You heard me right, a 17% buff to his attack damage. That is massive. Because of how Hank's damage scales, I can't give you a great comparison but to before and after, but this is definitely going to make him a lot more viable. Additionally, he's getting a 7% buff to his health. This is going to allow him to survive 1 additional ammo from 22 of the 70 brawlers in the game. I don't know if Hank will become OP, but he will definitely be a lot stronger. Buster's getting an 8% buff to his health. This will allow him to survive 1 additional ammo from 24 of the brawlers in the game, which is pretty decent. Additionally, he's getting a 9% buff to his attack damage, and this will allow him to take out 16 of the 70 brawlers in the game with 1 less ammo. Byron is getting a 25% buff to his supercharge rate. He used to require 4 ammo to charge his super, and now he will be able to charge it with only 3, which is going to make him a lot stronger in my opinion. BB is getting a 4% buff to her health. She will be able to survive 1 additional ammo from 15 of the brawlers in the game now, which isn't as impressive as some of the other buffs here, but it's still going to make her a lot better. Nani is getting a buff and a nerf. The duration of her return to sender gadget is decreasing from 5 seconds to 2 seconds. So if you don't take damage from an enemy within 2 seconds of activating it, then it will just disappear. You still will be able to activate it right before somebody hits you, but it's going to be a lot less useful for preemptively preventing somebody to attack you. Don't worry though, Nani's still going to be very strong. She's getting a 14% buff to her attack damage. This is huge for her, as she'll be able to take out almost every other brawler with 1 less projectile, and when it comes to a full ammo, she'll be able to take out 16 brawlers with 1 less ammo. In fact, she will now be able to one-shot the 9 lowest HP brawlers like Barley, Bee, Brock, and several others. That's actually crazy. Piper's getting a nerf and a buff. Her homemade recipe gadget is getting its effectiveness decreased by 33%, so the homing will be 33% less effective. You can see it before and after here to see how much has changed. She's also getting an 11% buff to her attack damage. She's now going to be able to take out 19 brawlers with 1 less ammo, which is definitely significant. Mandy is getting an 8% nerf to her attack damage. She'll require 1 less ammo to take out 11 of the brawlers in the game, which isn't as big as some of these other buffs, but it's still actually a pretty decent buff. Leon is getting a 6% buff to his health. He'll now survive 1 additional ammo from 11 brawlers in the game, and Sandy is getting a 14% buff to his supercharge rate. He used to require 7 hits to charge his super, and that is decreasing to 6 hits, meaning that he will have his super a lot more often than before, and honestly, I could see this being pretty strong for Sandy. Fang is getting 2 buffs to his super. His super damage is getting buffed by 20%. Additionally, he'll now charge his super a little bit more when he hits enemies with his super. And for our last buff, we have Willow, who is getting a 12% buff to her health. This is going to allow her to survive 1 additional ammo from 9 brawlers, which isn't a ton, but it will help her a bit. Now let's talk about the nerfs. Squeak's residue gadget is getting its duration decreased from 10 seconds down to 8 seconds. I still think it's going to be the better gadget, but it hopefully won't be quite as OP as it was before. Additionally, his chain reaction star power is getting a nerf. The additional damage that he deals for each brawler within the explosion is decreasing from 20% bonus damage to only 15% bonus damage. You may recall during the last update, the bonus damage was buffed from 10% up to 20%. 15% is right in the middle of there, so I think that this will feel a little bit more balanced. Bonnie's attack projectile speed is getting a 5% nerf. It's honestly really hard to tell even if you're looking at it before and after, but it's going to make hitting her shots just a little bit harder. Crow's Kairos extra toxic star power is getting a nerf. The damage reduction from poison brawlers is decreasing from 20% damage reduction down to 15% damage reduction. Honestly, I'm going to be interested to see which star power is actually better after this change. Tick is getting a decent nerf to his reload speed. It's decreasing by 4%, which means that he will reload his shots 4% slower. And honestly, I have no issues with Tick getting this nerf. Finally, we have Tara, who's getting a 3% nerf to her HP. It's not a very big nerf, but she'll be taken out with 1 less ammo by 5 brawlers. Now let's cover all the new skin animations and their costs. First up is Raider Cordelius, which is an epic skin and will cost 149 gems or 5,000 bling. He carries a flamethrower and has a bunch of screws sticking out of his hat, as well as some kind of engine strapped to his back. He fires fiery screws for his main attack, and his super is a giant burning ball of scrap metal that's been screwed together. When he wins, he starts up his flamethrower and jumps on top of it, then jumps back off and leans up against it. And when he loses, his flamethrower malfunctions and blows up, and he sadly looks at the last remaining parts. Scorpion Willow is a super rare skin that will cost 79 gems or 2,750 bling. She's got a really cool scorpion tail on her head. She fires a scorpion for her attack that splatters into this gross looking toxic pool, and her super is a much bigger scorpion. For her winning animation, she spins around and then her eyepiece is revealed, and she gets stung by her own scorpion when she loses. Rodeo Hank is a mythic skin that will cost 199 gems. His fish tank has been replaced by a robotic or mechanical bull with udders for hands. For his attack, he blows a giant smoke bubble that explodes on enemies, and for his super, he fires flying jugs of milk at his enemies, which is just weird. When he wins, he does this spin like a mechanical bull to celebrate, and when he loses, udders for hands. Marauder Maisie is an epic skin and is this season's Power League skin. So you need to win 50 matches and then buy her for 149 gems or 5,000 bling, or wait a year so that you can just buy her then. You know, I'm not typically a fan of post-apocalyptic cosmetics or skins in like any game really, but this one actually looks really cool. She fires a robotic fist at enemies with her attack, and her super explodes into a sandy eruption, and for a brief moment, you can actually see the Brawl Stars skull in it, which is actually pretty cool. Her winning animation is a series of cool punches, and then she actually catches her mechanical fist, which is pretty dope. And she seems to completely lose control of her arm when she has her losing animation, and I don't know, perhaps it has a mind of its own. Cheerleader Rosa is an epic skin and will cost 149 gems or 5,000 bling. This is actually one of the weirder skins in the game in my opinion, and I love it. She attacks with monster pom-poms, and when she activates her super, a monster-themed shield appears around her for protection. For her winning animation, she does this fun little cheer, which actually is pretty cool, and when she loses, she kind of just gets sad. I don't know how else to say it. Next is Nerd Squeak, which is another epic skin that will cost 149 gems or 5,000 bling. I love how nerdy he looks, and he's so proud of his 12-sided dice. Now for his attack, you guessed it, he throws his dice and it glows and cool patterns kind of like pop up around before it explodes. And for his super, he throws a bag that's on his backpack full of dice, and it lands and they burst out and explode all over the place once it hits the ground. Now I don't know why his dice is so magical, but he really likes to show it off when he wins, and honestly it looks really cool. And when he loses, he throws the dice to reveal, a thumbs down pin, which is just hilarious. Jockstu is a legendary skin and will cost 299 gems, and oh my gosh, this skin is so cool. He's like a monster snake or slug or dragon. I'm gonna go with snake dragon, and this skin actually comes with some unique voice lines.
Raging reptile! Spectacular! Time to burn some brawlers!
Now for his attack, he fires these creepy green eyeballs that just come out of his hands, and for his super, he leaves a monster crevice in the ground for a few seconds, which looks really cool. As a legendary skin, a special animation happens whenever he defeats an enemy, which looks really cool, and when he wins, he slithers around and we see this monster mouth release goo from his hands. When he loses, he drops from the sky, and after struggling to get up, his eye becomes angry red. Mecha Edgar is another legendary skin that will be available in October for 299 gems. Honestly, this skin could be my favorite mecha skin, especially because he walks on robotic arms. Also, like the other mecha skins, his voice lines have become mechanized.
Boring. I could do this if I wanted to.
For his attack, his robotic arms strike forward, and there's this really cool effect that happens with each punch, and a special animation happens whenever he defeats an enemy target, just like Jock Stew does, and it sounds like they're planning on adding these defeat animations for all of the legendary skins. His super starts with this really cool launch animation and leaves a shockwave on the ground when he lands, and for his winning animation, his robotic arms plant themselves into the ground so he can raise himself up into the air and emit this light beam from his chest. Then they all go haywire when he loses, causing him to fall on the ground. Lunar Janet is a mythic skin that will cost 199 gems. She's got a moon on her helmet and a robotic bunny jetpack on her back. Her attack projectiles actually could be some of the coolest in the game if you ask me. They're crescent moons as they are like shooting out, but once they reach max range, they turn into like void darkness. It just looks so cool. For her super, she flies around and as you would expect, she drops moon bunny bombs every few seconds that actually look really cool. I honestly really love the dark sky effect from this skin a lot. For her winning animation, she does this really cool twirl that kind of reminds me of Sailor Moon. If you know, you know. And when she loses, she frustratingly chucks her moon mic on the ground and just kind of gives up all hope. Hanbok Mandy is an epic skin that will cost 149 gems or 5,000 bling. She's wearing traditional Hanbok clothing, which after a quick Google search revealed to me that comes from South Korea. She fires some sort of pouch at her enemies with her attack, and for her super, she actually shoots a flying kite, which looks really cool. When she wins, she does this cool dance that ends with her blowing a heart at you, I guess. And I honestly don't know what's going on when she loses, but it's clear that she doesn't want to disrespect some sort of important tradition. Now, those are all of the new skins and animations except for Mean Girl M's, which is replacing College M's and looks like this. Her price is remaining the same and she doesn't have any sorts of special animations. That's everything I can show you in this update right now. Make sure you guys subscribe for the Pearl Olympics and the Chunk Olympics, where I will show you all of their skins as well. I'm really curious to know what you guys think about hypercharges, so put your initial impressions down in the comment section below. We'll see you guys in the next video.